we live? Type okay. So today the main thing we will be discussing is a simple widget app. On this app we will be having many things or main things. The main things that we will be having is we have simple CURD simple. If you go to the bins here, if you get the bin, yeah, we'll get some simple CURD application or operations like make it a little big. CURD is for create, update, delete, and oh, it's that. CURD and delete. So this from create, update, read, delete. So these are the main operations that will be going around today. So directly we'll go to the code. I will show maybe I will show the app first. So in the app, if you go to show the app code, yeah. So the app will be a little bigger. Okay. So the app mainly will be like this. When you open the app, it should give you directly it should give you directly, what do you call this? Let me restart it. Yeah, it should directly give you a list. On this list it has some items. On the items you have some and you have an edit button, you have a delete button, you have basically a place where you put the ticket, where you put the information or the notes. So basically it only has one main field, which is notes. If you watch the last update, we did discuss how to make an API call to a server to retrieve the list, to delete, to add it, to edit it. So we'll be consuming this API that we wrote in Dart on this app. So if you go to the code, on the code mainly we have first the main method, which is in the main file. So basically Dart will, or Flutter will, pick up this main.dart, and inside it there should be one method called main, and this one you will call run app, and you pass your first or root widget. In the root widget here, I usually prefer to use the material app, but if you're using iOS or something other than that, you need a different styling for another one. You have to change it a little, but mainly you use material app, give it a title. If you want to, what's your main theme for the app? Do you want to use blue, or it's like even this is not that important, but you can use it. Then you pass it your home widget. This task widget is this task widget is this list. It has this list inside it. So in the list, if you go back to the code, if you go to this list, if you click it, and we go to this widget again, if we can go to this widget, it's a stateful widget, which mean it has mainly this method which is called set state, which can we tell Flutter to refresh the page or to update the elements in the page, everything inside the page. So we have the refresh button inside it. So when we build a widget or when we build a stateful widget, first you have to declare it like this one. Then you have to declare something called create state, which return a type of state of the same widget. Inside it we have one main method. The main one is build. The other one is called initiate state or init state. In the init state, if you have initial data or initial calling, here we are using it to call the service to get some data from the service. After that, we call set state to tell the Flutter that we already finished, done, that you are getting the data from the server. So basically, when you are getting the data from the server, you should not freeze the user interface. So what we are doing here, we are getting the data in the refresh, we are getting its future, which means if we write here await, it will freeze a little of the UI, because it's, I think it's an initial one. We can try it. Await, will it freeze? No, it will not. I think, yeah, it will not in the initialize. I don't think it will accept async. We can add await here. Okay, it did accept it. So if we refresh again, yeah, it will not accept a feature here on it. So it will not accept to await this method. So your main way to tell the Flutter you already finished this method, and to tell it to update the UI, you already get the data from the server, and you have the list of the tasks from the server, and you want to force it to update the data from it. You have to call set state. Usually you put your code there inside set state, but when I use it sometimes, I'm not sure exactly about the difference. Mainly when updated the data and you want to force update to the system, you call set state. But set state is not available on stateless stateless widget, only in the stateful widget. So we get the list from it. So it's a normal list here. So first we get a list, an empty list. After the list, we go to the build method. Inside it, we return a scaffold. A scaffold will give you the app bar. If you show the app again, so it will give you this insider. It will give you this app, or this main blue bar inside on the top of it. So it will give you the blue bar on the top, which you can put button here. We put a refresh button plus the title. We can put other things also. So inside it, we put the scaffold will give you this. Inside it, you can put the app bar, which is the blue title. We put the title. Even the title is a widget. You can put anything inside the title. You want to put a video, a moving space, something like that one. If you have, like, if we Google a little, there is something called animated. If we Google animated Flutter, animated icons. If you go to the documentation, if you call it, if you go like this one, if you watch the video, there is a good one here. If you watch a little of the video, so basically you call animated. So here in the title, we'll be giving animated button. We have animated icon. So I'll change this one to the animated one. And the title, we'll give it here. If you go to the code again, animated, inside it, we'll give it an icon. animated icon. If we click here and go there, you can click it, it's open source, so basically you can go to that one, animated icon data. Animated icon. I'm not icon, animated icon again. Animated icon, if we go to animated, it should be animated icons dot oh yeah dot list view, and in the process we'll do a controller. We can try to refresh it this way. If you show the app again, okay, you can control click it. It will show you the anime. It's a little heavy if you show that, if you see the code again. So it's like that basically. Animated. Okay, so for the sake of time I will leave it here. So basically, even on the title you can give, if you want to animate animation, how to use animation, Flutter, animated icons. So on it you have to, I think, to return here. On it you have to control an animation with it. So you have to click animation. Final one will be control driver, controller. be doing here animation controller. On top of it we'll find a controller. Yeah, I will give it an animation controller on the init state. You will have to do here, and so you will have to add with a provider set mine, and you initiate a controller. Inside the controller you pass it to the animation here, to controller. Okay, so now if we refresh the code for you to see it, So for example, it did take time, sorry for that. So for example, here on list, so if you show the code now, if you go back to the emulator, you will find the code. See, here was a text. Everywhere in the widget, everywhere inside Flutter, you can put a widget. So any widget, anything complex you dream of doing, you can do it using Flutter. So here's an animated GIF instead of a static text. We can go back to the text. If we show the text again, if I copy this, so basically you will get the task or the text. So in the app bar, we'll give you that one. Next, we go to the next step. In the body of the app bar, we'll be using a list view. In the list view, we'll be doing the task.length. See here, we done one thing. We can do a future thing. We'll talk about it later. But mainly, you will get task. You have to have the up before getting the data. You have to get the length of it, or you have to use something called future builder. We'll discuss that in another video. But we get the task. After that, we will start with 0. After that, we will get the task or update the list, and we'll use the real length, and we call set state. It will re-render the view again. So you will get that length. After that, you will get an item builder, and inside the item builder here, we are using inline just return. I'm using another one called task widget, which a widget specifically for each one of the items that we have inside the app. So if you go to the task widget, again, if I go to the task widget, if I go here to the code, yeah, I was. So basically, again, I will say it again. So we'll get the icon put on here and for refresh on the app of that task widget or other in the app widget. If you show the app widget upside there, okay. So if you get the app up there, you see this one and the task one. This the icon. The icon is there, okay. The list here is using something called list view dot builder, and we'll pass the item length. In the first time, it will be 0 because we are initializing here for a 0. After it, when we call the service and get the list and set state, it will update the list. And for each one of them, you will initialize a new task widget. If you go to the task widget, inside it, it's a stateless widget. So inside it, you will pass the object, and you will pass something called notify parent. Something called what? Notify parent. Notify parent here, I will show you what's the purpose of it. But if you go to the build method inside that one, now we are talking about the widget, the small widget there. Inside it, you will pass the task object. I will be using some padding on it using CURD. In the CURD, we have a column. In the column, we have. Should we have a column? Why is the column there in the first place? Wait. We don't have to use column here. Yeah, you don't have to use column. So we'll just remove the column. refresh that. Yeah, it's the same thing. So there's no need for that column because we don't want to stack anything on it. So it's a card. We give it a padding. This padding here between them. So if you want to do a 20 padding here, and we do a small refresh to run the app again. I will close the emulator. It's for that one. I did it was open for a little time, not a big deal. So until the emulator run again, inside it we will have the card. We will have the card. Inside the card we have a list title which have a leading and a tailing. We have something called tailing and leading, and in the middle we have the title and the subject title. All of them can accept anything. Like we use text here, but even the text is a widget. But even the widget or the text we are using, we can use when I showed in the title, we did use, instead of the title, a text title, we use an animated. You can use anything. You want to put a video, you want to put a web page, browser, you want to put anything you imagine, you can put it there. But usually use only text for it. Okay, so you put the title, and you put inside and you will give it the task note, and you give it in the subtitle. I give it the GUID or the ID of the item. After we give it the ID of the item, the next thing I will be trying to do is for the tailing. For the leading, I will be using an icon button. Inside the item button, I will be using the edit. On the edit event on press, I will do something called navigator.push material page route, and in the builder of it, I will send it an edit page. So when you click the edit button, it show you the edit page. It will show you what? The edit page. The edit page also take the task object and the task, and also notify parent. After it, also in the same side, also in the leading one, in the tailing, tailing here is called tailing. In the tailing one, and in the tailing we have the icon or the icon button. We have icon delete. On press we'll do something async. We will call the service and delete it. Then we will show a snack bar or a toast, something to the user to see it, and we see delete it not, and we give it the ID. And if not parent is not null, we call notify parent. Basically, because each widget has a different state or separate state, I want to notify the parent. So I will do as I will usually in each widget, which we'll talk. It's the simplest way, I think. It's the simplest way you can use it, because there's something called the provider and something called the notifiers and other things. But the simplest way is to send a method which calls set state on the parent widget, or do the refresh thing on the page. So if you have a list and sublist and edit, and did you edit and you want to refresh the parent widget, when you call the edit page, you have to send it a callback. On that callback should be called in the exiting of the edit widget, so the parent widget should know that something happened or refreshed. So here we are deleting on the server, not on the column. So we are deleting on what? On the server, not on the column. So here we are deleting on the server, not here we are deleting on the server, not on the column. So when you click when you go to delete on the server, not on the column, it's deleting on the server. So how I tell my parent, because this I am now inside a widget inside a widget, how I call my parent to what? To delete, to refresh. So I am a child, how I'm calling my parent or my widget parent to refresh the list. So I'm calling the notify parent, which I did pass there. It's a widget. If you see the task widget again, you see the task widget. I passed notify parent dot refresh, and the refresh one is, if you go to the refresh function, it's calling, it's the same one we call in initialize state. It's not efficient to refresh all the lists or get all the lists, but it's the stupidest and less efficient way to do it, but it's the easiest way to do it. You just call the service and you just re-render. You just get the new list from the server and you just re-render again. So the app is working now, and if you try to click the delete button, if you go to the task widget and you click the delete button, here we delete on the server, it will delete and it shows so delete. So if you click this delete, it will delete it. It will show the snack. It will notify the parent to re-render again, so it will be re-rendering. If we click the tailing edit one, if we click edit, it should go to the new page and edit page, and it will pass it the task note and notify parents. So if we go to the edit page, it's a simple one. We have in initial state, we have something called text editing controller. For each field you will have to a separate controller. Inside the controller you dispose it on the end of it, and in the editing also you click it and you pass it, you initialize it with text editing value, the text. And on the body we have a scaffold, always have a scaffold. For the title, it should have a title, but sorry, I'm not having a title. Yeah, see, there is no title, so it will give you the navigation back, but it will not give you, I think, a title. Oh yeah, no, it will give you a title. So I'm passing the app bar here for a separate. I have a separate method for the app bar and body. Basically, it's just instead of putting all the text, or instead of putting all of the code there, I'm returning the code from the backend. So if I go back to the text or to the app bar again, here we have the text, edit text, and inside we have a save button, and in the body the same thing. We have text and a text field in it. So I click edit now, it should show me this page when I click edit here. Okay, so now if I deleted some of these files and written something other than that, what do you write here? Foo, write foo, you write foo, and after you write foo, you click save. When you click save, I show this button is called click save. When you click save, it's in the app bar. When you click save, it will call this method called save. In it, it will use the text controller to retrieve the new text and save it in the object. It will pass the object to the server. It will notify the parent to get a new list and re-render again. Then and it will go back on the navigation. So when I click save, it will go back to the server. It now this saves the server and refreshed from the server, going back to this list again. So if I click refresh here, it will be the same data. Now the last one is this button. It's called Flutter button. If we go back to the main page, and we have not the task widget here, the Flutter button. We have Flutter action button. On it, we'll same thing. It's a normal button. We click push or add. On it, you can do material page route. Inside it, you will push the adding page when you click it, and you push the net for. So when you click it now, if we try to, I am new to Flutter. If I write I'm new to Flutter like this, Flutter div. If I click save now, it will save in the server, and it will refresh the page by calling refresh on it. So this is for the main page or for a simple app. So it's easy, but you have to write or use the autocomplete to complete the files and everything there, and you can do it easily. And just do the documentation. After you do 1, 2, 3 apps, it will be easier and more easier. So we'll try now. This we are using the app without a login screen or without authentication or anything to the server. We are using local server. Usually you'll have authentication or some sort of authentication on top of your server. So we'll do that in another video. Nice, bye. Salam.